Have you ever given much thought to those dogs and handlers at the airport? You know, the ones there to sniff out drugs and other things, or the ones you see with the police and the military. Now, when you think about it, really think about it, can you imagine the amount of training they must go through? In today's episode, Sinead Imbaro joins me. She's an elite police and military canine trainer with decades of experience. And yes, she does train those handlers and dogs that I was talking about, and so much more. But first, let's talk about her dog and partner, Magnus Ares. Now, first of all, I just love his name, and even better, the meaning of his name, the Great Warrior. Now, don't you think he's got the perfect name for his job? Now, she's had him since he was a little pup with a really big head. And we talk all about his training and adventures they've been on together. Now, here's one. Do you remember the condo named Surfside that collapsed a few years ago in Miami? Do you remember there were 35 people rescued from that disaster? And Sinead and Magnus were part of that rescue. Her list of deployments like that goes on and on. She's got lots of stories, and we're going to get into some of them. But there's a lot more today. We talk about the rigors of training. How do you train dogs to ignore their instincts and move towards danger to complete the mission? How she trains the handlers in emergency K9 medicine. Now, the list, it goes on and on. Did you know that there's actually a Working Dogs Olympics? And we get into that too. How both Sinead and Magnus actually participated in that as well. Now, are you getting it? There's a lot in this episode. So get ready, follow your instincts. There's much more to come. And you know what? The next time you see these dogs at the airport with the military or the police, you're going to really appreciate them a whole lot more.
For real, 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 for real. Got a bunch of furry friends and I love them all the same. I'm an animal lover, veterinarian is the name. Let's share some pet stories from heartwarming to strange, losses and games, from wacky to insane. For real. You're now tuned in to For Real with your host, Mark Kyle.
Sinead, welcome to the show, and I can't wait for everybody to meet you and hear your story.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Well, now I tell you, you're doing me a favor today in particular. But like I was telling you, and everybody that listens knows, what I always find the journeys really relevant. One is people get to know you, and it's just cool to kind of figure out how you got where you are today. So I know I'm going to give you a little bit of prompt. I know you were born in New Brunswick in Canada. So I don't know if you want to go all the way back to those cold winters or whatever, but if you want to start there, whatever, and then let's kind of get where we are and tell the story.
Okay. Actually, I was born in London, England, but I grew up in Canada. So, yeah. So my childhood memories and everything is primarily from Canada. All right. Moved over here to the States. Let's see. Well, over 30 years ago, I guess. Went straight from Canada to Florida. I got a little fed up of the snow blizzards that were coming in and decided I was going to come over here on spring break. Loved it and moved. And ever since then, I've been a Florida girl, really. Lived in Key West for a long time and then moved to Miami probably 20 years ago or so.
I've had a lot of people from Florida on the show. We did one in the Florida Panthers. We did one. Doug Nader's a big vet down there. Did one in a fox rescue down in the Keys. Mm-hmm. So I've talked a lot. Matter of fact, even I talked to Kathleen Dudinsky, who's a dolphin expert in your area too. So I've talked to I feel like I talk to a lot of people in Florida all the time. So it's kind of cool.
It's a great place to be. So
it sure is.
Except for the hurricane weather, but other than that, it's a great place to be.
Okay, so I want to know how you got where you were. So you're down in the Keys. Wait a minute. So what do you study in school? Was this always kind of a plan, or were you always an animal person, or how does that work?
I've always had a thing for animals, and I guess animals had a thing for me. It was very easy for me to communicate to animals. A lot of people have seen that. And when I was in Key West, I decided that I wanted to get a dog, a German Shepherd puppy. And I didn't do any research other than look up some breeders in Miami, and went up to Miami. I said to myself, I'm going to look at these 5 breeders. I'm going to go to the 5 breeders, look at these puppies, and make my decision. I went to the first breeder. She brought the puppies out. One puppy came, laid between my legs, and gave her the money, and that was it. I didn't go anywhere else. So that was my experience with choosing my dog. I didn't know anything really about taking care of a dog of that caliber. So when I started to do things with him, he started offering these behaviors such as grabbing the leash, taking me for a walk, which I thought was cute. I thought he was protecting me when other people were coming around, but he was actually being territorial or possessive. And then the final straw was somebody approaching me at my mailbox, and he started growling and barking at them. So I needed help. And I seeked out help from a friend who referred me to a guy that was a ATF agent and also a dog trainer, a canine trainer in Key West. And that's where I really started, was learning everything from him.
So I have a visual.
Uh-huh.
She's got this dog in her lap that's basically just collapsed. So happy. It's like when you take a crab and you rub their bellies and they just lay there. It's unbelievable. This I know. I wish the listeners could see this visual, but I can tell that dogs do like you. At least this one does. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, we just came back from some travels from Indiana, so he's a little tired. He's a Malinois, and normally he's pretty energetic, but he's pretty tired today.
I can tell. Anyways, I like I told you, I was going to interrupt you. So
All right.
back on there. So you've now you're going through training.
Going through training, and apparently he saw something in me as well, so he invited me to continue training after the pet training and help him out with the canine training. So I would go with him at nighttime and assist him with police canine training at night. And he would do everything from patrol work to detection. And that's really where I got my start to where I am today.
Okay, so I what you're doing now, because I mean, there's so many different things. There's first of all, the list of everything you've done, and all this is way too long for me to even read
Uh-huh.
because it's so much. But when I visualize either a military dog or a police dog
Mhm.
that's there, they really have to have special training. And now you go through this, but it's more than just this one time because there's a lot more to it than that. Can you detail a little bit more? So, I mean, I talk to people all the time, and I still not quite sure because I'm the worst dog owner in the world. My dog owns me totally. And I have this animal thing, and her name's Mabel, and she's a rescue, but she's a sweet dog. But I guarantee somebody who really knows how to train him would be going, "Come on, Mark, what's wrong with you?" One of those things.
To back up a little bit, I left Key West. I came up to Miami. Um, I had a long-haired German Shepherd. I always had German Shepherds, by the way. I had a long-haired German Shepherd, and he passed away, and it devastated me completely, um, to the point where I just didn't want to do anything because he was my co-pilot. Okay.
Right.
Um, so when I lost him, a friend reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I just had a litter of Malinois puppies and I would like you to have one." She used to live in Key West and we used to hang out at dog training together. And I've met her Malinois, the father. And so I'm like, you know what? Malinois aren't really my breed, my pace. They're a little too much for me. I'm more of a German Shepherd type of girl. But, thank you. It was great. And she's like, "Well, if you were to choose one, what would you what would you choose?" And I said, jokingly, "The one with the biggest head." And she said, "All right." And the next day she would send me a photo. She's like, "This is one of the puppies. He's got the biggest head." And then every day after that, she would send me photos of this dog.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so I said, I have to go to Arizona for a canine conference. I will stop by on my way back to, where does she live? She lived in think she lived in Illinois. Yeah, she lived in Illinois. Said, let me stop by. I'll swing around and say hello to you. So I did, and she brought out the puppies the next day. And I had at the time I had a female German Shepherd and a male German Shepherd. So I had them out with me, and she brought out the puppies, and they obviously all got along. But one in particular started following me around everywhere. I went up the steps, and he was only 7 weeks old. So he was just a little guy. And he would try his hardest, and he would follow me up the stairs. I'd go down a little ramp. He'd go down. Everywhere and anywhere I went, this dog followed me. So I said, you know what? I'll take him. I'll train him, and then I'll sell him, and we'll split the profit. And she says, okay. I said, all right. So I pick him up and we put him in my car, and he fit right in with my pack of dogs. Off we went. He slept the entire way. Stopped in Alabama to see my parents, and his crate was the size of a cat crate. It was so small. So I took him out of the cat crate, and I built this little fortress for him so he couldn't get out. And I went to sleep. And halfway through the night, I hear a little hustle bustle, and he broke out. He didn't go anywhere. He was trying to get on the bed with me. So I put him on the bed. He curled up next to my leg, and that's where he slept. And from then on, for travels at least, anywhere we would travel, he would sleep by my leg. At home, he was sleeping in the crate, and he was fine. This dog was not your typical Malinois. He never barked. He didn't have any incidents in the house. He didn't pee or poop or anything. He was perfect, absolutely perfect. And so I took him to a trainer here in Miami that I used to assist. And I said, I want to do something with this dog. I'd like to learn detection. And the trainer looked at him and he said, this dog doesn't have what it takes. He's just going to be a pet dog. Don't waste your time. So I said, okay. And I left, and I was a little heartbroken. I went home, and maybe a few days later, out of the blue, I had a police canine officer from Belgium reach out to me through Facebook Messenger. And he said, he didn't say anything. He just sent me videos of his dog. And he was out in the middle of the street in Belgium, and the video was him and this dog off leash, doing all these sorts of tricks. Just him and this dog having this great bonding moment. Anything he asked the dog to do, the dog would do, but it wasn't out of pressure. It was because the dog wanted to please him. So I said to him, one day, I hope I have this type of relationship with my dog, my puppy, as you do with yours. And I wanted, I would have liked to teach him detection, but this guy said, he's not going to be any good. So the guy, the canine officer said, I will teach you how to do this. And I said, oh, okay. And through video for months, he taught me his method in detection, which works great for my dog. And I believe Magnus was the youngest at the time. He was the youngest to be certified in narcotics detection with a product called Scentlogics that a company had graciously donated to me to get started. And then from then on, this dog went from being a detection dog to learning patrol, to learning track and trailing, to becoming a disaster search dog. He did everything. He was a multi-purpose canine, and he knew his job very, very well. He knew which discipline he was to execute at the time. He did not veer away from it. He was really good, and he still is a great dog. He's retired now, but he just did it all, and he did it for me. And he was so easy to train because we had such a good rapport.
So Magnus is now being trained this, and you're now in the world of doing all this kind of stuff at that point?
Yeah, so we started with detection, narcotics detection, and tracking and trailing. And then we got into disaster search.
Real quickly, how does one once you have a dog and you've got it there, how do you get yourself into that world?
I I had a friend who introduced me to her friend who was a captain
Uh-huh.
of a fire department. And really, I just love to train no matter what. So anywhere I travel, I love to train. Any chance I get, I take my dogs out and do something with them because it's my joy. I love it. And they love it because it's something that stimulates their mind. So I asked her if she knew of anyone that would lay tracks for me. And she says, "Oh, I have someone that I want you to meet. And this is really for my female shepherd. So I wanted to do some tracking with her. She said, I have someone to meet. She does something of what you do, finding people." I said, "Oh, okay." So she introduced me to her, and I went to the task force site. I had no idea, again, what I was getting myself into, and introduced myself and took my female shepherd out. And we did a little track around the rubble pile, and that's when I learned about the rubble pile and what they do. But my female shepherd didn't have any interest on going on top of the rubble pile, but Magnus did. So we took Magnus on the pile, and she says, "Here, this is what we do. We hide. The dog comes and finds us." And I'm like, "Oh, my dog will find people for building searches and such." And she's, "Oh, well, let me hide and see what he does." So she hid, and he went and he found her. He was trained his whole entire life for this job, right? She's like, "You should, you should come more often." I'm like, "Oh, all right. He loves it. I'll do it. I'll come and help out, and I would help out some of the other handlers, and they would take some advice from me as far as obedience training or behavioral training and things of that nature. And 3 years later, we got certified because it was just something fun. And then when I got on the task force team, Task Force 6, and shortly after, we were deployed.
And you deployed, what was your first bit? I mean, I know the certified story and we can talk about it whenever, but what was your first deployment?
Surfside was my first deployment.
Oh, your very first one?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
And then we were deployed several times after that for just hurricanes, but that was
Tell everybody what Surfside is because it was a few years ago. I remember it, but some people may not remember. Let's talk a little bit about that experience, and then we can get into all. I have so many questions for you. You may never get off this thing. So, but let's kind of tell everybody what that is and the experience of it. A little bit of everything. Let's give them the bedtime story.
so I don't know if it's a good bedtime story, but it was
No, no, it's a scary
it's
story.
it's a collapse. It's a building collapse that happened in South Beach in Miami Beach a few years ago. Uh and condominium literally just collapsed down into a pancake style. And we were called to search for live odor on the pile. And that was our first time doing a real search. We from that building up to that time, we trained for this, and this moment came. So we searched for live odor for 7 days before it switched over to recovery. And unfortunately, we didn't find anyone. We had a lot of task force teams there. It wasn't just me, but because we were primarily home based, we were on the pile a lot more than others. So
Yeah, it was. I remember it big time. And didn't the owners ever get sued because they built it bad or something like that? Was that the part of the
something
deal?
like that. I don't know if it was the owners or if there's so many levels of
Yeah.
the maintenance wasn't kept up, and now because of that, there's so many other buildings that are being condemned because of lack of upkeep. So it's tough because the people that own those condos now have to leave and they don't have a place to stay.
That's terrible. Okay, so that's yours and Magnus' big deployment, your first one.
Hmm.
So what? I mean, I know you're doing a lot more stuff, and there's actually I want to read something, and we're going to get into. But I found this thing that, and I have to read it because I wouldn't say it right. This is somebody talking about you. You represent a rare category within the working dog world. You're an operator who bridges the gap between high level training, real world deployment, and canine human performance integration, which I thought was a really great statement. Does that define? That's probably just a portion of defining you because you do a lot of other things too. So, what do you think about it? It was a pretty cool thing to be said about you, though. Rare.
It is. I'm flattered that somebody said that. I don't view myself like that. I just view myself as wanting to train and helping people, and people that like to train as me getting together and sharing each other's training skills, knowledge, and being able to help each other.
Well, such amazing skill and something an amazing asset for when you're trying to find life.
For real, 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 for real.
And we'll be right back.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover Prep Therapy today at PrepVet.com. Save 10% with promo code FurRealPodcast, covered by most pet insurance.
I had another thought, and I want to stay on track, but have you ever had, like, when you're scenting for a person that's live versus cadaver, have you ever had the opportunity to go check for like a prisoner that escaped from a prisoner? That's the first thing I think. That's what I'd want to do.
You mean for
Like if a prisoner got out of prison and you guys were sitting like the bloodhound dog kind of thing.
Mhm.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah. I mean, I train people for that.
That's
I train
crazy.
for law enforcement, military. We teach them the tactical tracking or tactical trailing, man trailing, on how to find suspects, and how to do it safely without the handler getting injured or without the dog getting injured. So,
There's several other things I wanted to ask you, but this is kind of a segue to one of the other things you do, which I thought was really interesting.
mhm.
You train people almost like a corpsman in the military. That if you train people how to medically take care of the animal if they get hurt while they're doing their job. It's
Yes,
before if you don't have veterinarians there. So what you kind of talked about, can you talk about that? Because I found that fascinating. I never really thought about it, but it makes a lot of sense. They need to have that medical training if a dog gets hurt or something like that. So
I do. So I'm a K9 Medic HQ instructor as well. And what I do is with our group,
got a 50
it's one of
thing.
the things, but everything goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
So what we do is we travel, and canine handlers, anything from search and rescue to law enforcement to military, Customs Border Patrol, any government issued canine handler, canine team will come to us, and we will teach them how to care for their dogs if under fire. So if their dog gets injured, how to treat their dog and get them to the closest trauma medical veterinarian clinic as soon as possible so they can continue the work and hopefully save the dog. But it starts with, you know, on the field, knowing what to do, thinking quickly enough to act quickly to save the dog, or at least um, help preserve the dog to get the dog to the next stage of health care. And that's what we do.
So is it similar? I mean, clearly a bigger, more detail, but it's almost like a lifeguard knows how to rescue
Exactly.
somebody out of the pool.
Exactly.
So you know enough not to be a doctor, but enough to get to a doctor.
Exactly. And enough to know what information to give the doctor as well.
Right.
So
Cool.
that's important. So we teach them baseline assessments, everything from, your heart rate, pulse, mentation of the dog, temperature, how to take the dog's temperature, simple things like that, which is every owner, even if you're a pet owner, should know, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then from there, if the dog gets shot, or if the dog has any type of puncture wound, how to um, treat that. Chest punctures, dog from stabbing, from a knife wound, anything of that nature, we try to teach just to stabilize the dog,
Like being overheated too, heat exposure, because you're out there doing that stuff.
especially in Florida. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking with the humidity and stuff like down there.
Hmm.
One of the things I read too, that you do is you believe that they need to be the handler and the dog needs to be in stressful situations versus nice. So, what is that? I understand what that means, but when you're training somebody, how do you create chaos or whatever you're trying to do?
It's easy.
Well, come to my house. I can tell you right now, that'd be a perfect place to train chaos.
It's easy. It's more of spatial pressure and how one can influence another person. So really, and it can be something really simple. I can make an activity really simple for someone, or I can make it very complicated, and then all I have to do is add spatial pressure, or just there's ways to make someone nervous,
Right.
and they have to obviously act accordingly, stay focused, and treat the dog.
So here's another thing that I read in this, and I never thought about it. Obviously, it has to be done,
Hmm.
but I never thought about it this way. You have to train a dog to be able to go in dangerous situations, to kind of go away from their instinct to get away from because they know it's bad. And because if they got to save somebody in a stressful situation or whatever they're doing, they have to go to it instead of from it,
Hmm.
which I thought it's logical, but I never really thought about that. So that's got to take hours upon hours and repeating to realize that they know that this is my job. I got to do it.
Well, here's the thing: for training, we don't make it stressful for them. We make it fun. Everything's a game for them.
Oh,
So anything they go into, it's fun.
okay. Of
It's going to be stressful for us, right? Me
course.
putting him on a pile and not knowing what's out there, that he could fall through a void, or especially with the Champlain towers, there were a ton of air conditioning units just kind of hanging from the balcony. It could drop at any time.
Right.
That's dangerous. So things of that nature, we kind of have to hold our stress back and act very calm and have to make it fun for these dogs. Unfortunately, he is my life. He's my world, but we train for this. This is, if something happens, unfortunately,
Something happens.
something happens, but this is his job, and that's what we train for. Um, I don't like to use the word a tool. Some departments will say, "Well, he's a tool." Yeah, he's a tool, but he's also an animal, and he's my partner. Um, and I want to take care of him as much as I can. And will he save my life? Absolutely, he'll save my life. And he won't even think, because that's what he's trained for. But if I can avoid it, absolutely, I'll avoid it. But this is what we train for, so it's a balance.
Have you seen all this stuff and the legal stuff when you talk about tool animals are now giving them legal rights? There's a lot of stuff going on in there now. Well, as an example, their property also.
Yes.
People fighting over custody there. So, but now the animal has the rights, and they're actually giving animals rights because what's a sentient being, right? At some point, well, how do you define that?
Hmm.
So it's kind of curious that, and I think a tool. I think that was a military term, but they had to change that or something. Like I kind of remember that vaguely, that they could call them some instructors would call them tools. They're not tools. They're partners. They're soldiers.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And one of the laws that they're now, actually, it's in a few states, is if a dog gets injured, it can be transported by an ambulance to get to.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah.
That's kind of cool.
And so we're teaching paramedics as well on how to stabilize a dog to get it to the vet,
Wow,
which is great. So
that's crazy.
before it wasn't allowed, dogs weren't allowed to be, transported by paramedics, and now it's becoming a thing. So, as it should, because
I'll give you a great example of that. Me personally. So when Katrina happened,
Hmm.
which was crazy, and there were all the fish and wildlife and fish and game because all these houses were flooded.
Hmm.
I went down there and volunteered and do some work, and there was we brought down. I'm in Austin, but it was in New Orleans. I rented a U-Haul and packed it full of water and a bunch of stuff, and went down with a friend to help everybody. And all these people, the helicopters. So they had helicopters transferring everybody out of New Orleans, and there was one guy there who had been on the roof with his dog, and the boats took him. But when they got to the land to get transferred, because he needed to get up to Shreveport, which was kind of a staging area, and he had some relatives up there too, they wouldn't take him and his dog in the helicopter.
Wow.
So the guy was stuck, and I go, well, you can ride with us, but you have to sit in the back of the U-Haul. It was a truck, and it was one of the most emotional things I've ever seen. When we got there, he just started crying and just thanking me because his dog was going to have to be left there, and he was going to be stuck down there, and he couldn't do it. They wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, do you go to I know you have the hurricanes, which is flooding. So are you doing a lot of that as well with all the dogs?
Yes. For the state of Florida, because I am state team anywhere in the state of Florida
Uh huh.
that we're deployed to. I'm the only canine on my team as of right now, so I'm pretty fortunate to get deployed to all of the deployments that we're called on. So yeah,
Do you go out of state as well, like the flood up like in North Carolina that was there this last year and all that kind of stuff?
only if we're requested, but we normally just stay in the state. What happens is, all the teams get deployed out of state,
Uh huh.
so they need to have some teams stay in state in order to, if anything happens in their home state, that you have a team that can take care of it.
Right, sure, that makes sense, especially in your state.
Yes, exactly.
They don't get hurricanes very often.
No, not at all. I think they're expecting what 14 or 17 this year. So, you know,
Yeah, I'm here in Texas, and we're going to have the hottest summer ever. It's going to be insane. It's just crazy.
wow,
Yeah, and if we're having it, guess what? You guys down there, you're going to get it worse than us, I'm sure.
true. I bet.
For real, 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 for real.
And we'll be right back.
As a pet lover, did you know your pet can benefit from the incredible healing power of stem cell therapy? Prep Therapy offers a groundbreaking solution taken right from your pet's own blood. Say goodbye to joint pain, arthritis, kidney and liver conditions, and more. They'll experience faster recovery, increased vitality, and extended quality of life without the need for surgery or harmful drugs. Put the wag back in their tail and discover Prep Therapy today at prepvet.com. Save 10% with promo code FurRealPodcast, covered by most pet insurance.
Tell me a little bit about, and I was thinking, and I was going to talk to you offline on this, but of having these guys on is the K9 Iron Dog guys.
Yes, canine.
Tell me about them. I know that Magnus got a big award with them, but tell me a little bit about them.
Iron Dog Canine International is a great organization that supports law enforcement, any state agency that has canine teams. And what they'll do is they will take them to or pay for their handlers courses for education, such as a Georgia Canine trailing course or a canine medic course. They will also raise funds for equipment, such as bulletproof vests. Um, they're just a great organization to reach out to if your department doesn't have the funds to buy something for your dog or funds for education. They don't ask for anything back
Or get surgery.
or get surgery, correct? And
Yeah.
yeah, and they did that with my dog. They reached out to me. They found out that he was injured. He had 2 herniated discs. We completed to back up a little bit, we were competing in the Olympics here in the US, American Working Dog Olympics. And after we got our awards, I noticed that he couldn't hold his head up anymore and he had a hard time walking. So we left Indiana, came all the way back to Florida. I had my a dear friend, a chiropractor, look at him. She said, you need to get him to a neurosurgeon, neurologist as quickly as possible. Something's going on with his neck. And that's when we found out he had 2 herniated discs, C6, C7. And they reached out. They found out that he needed surgery. They took care of the whole bill. They spoke to the surgeon. They followed up on a daily basis for months afterwards. The surgeon said, most likely he'll have a good quality of life. She's not sure if he's going to be able to work, because that was my main thing, is will he be able to walk? Will he be able to work? And she's like, he'll probably have a good quality of life, but let's just take it there. I said, okay. And after surgery, literally after they woke him up, he was like walking, to the point where they were holding him back. He's like, okay, let's go. Let's leave this place. Let's go home. But he had to stay for a couple days, obviously. And they took very, very, very well care of him there. Got him back. I did the rehab for 3 months. I worked with him. And after 3 months, we went back to the vet, or the neurologist, and she says, okay, he's clear to go back to work. And he got back on the pile, and off we went. And he was able to work for a good 3 years. We just retired him last year. So
I wonder why he has that name. It kind of fits, doesn't it?
he is, to this day, he amazes me. He does not give up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like I said, he's my world. So
He's your baby. I can tell just a smile when you're talking.
yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, because it's related, but not. I guess it's related, but somewhat not. Is the military training? Because I know when you're down in Florida, you were working in a gym, so you're obviously fit
Mhm.
and work out all the time, I'm guessing.
Mhm.
And so, talk to me about the military training that you do, and how does that relate to what you're doing now? Because I guess to be a good handler, you have to be as fit as your dog, and your dog has to be as fit as you.
Yeah. So especially if you're man trailing, and which is, for the most part, tracking, you're you're putting in a lot of miles. I teach a man trailing workshop, and I would say we put in, just on a 3-day workshop, we put in over 40 miles. On a 5-day workshop, well over 100 miles um, of walking with the dog, tracking.
Man trailing is like trying to find somebody.
Man trailing, yes, it's the same as tracking,
Okay.
finding someone. It's just a different technique. Tracking is footstep to footstep.
Okay.
So where the dog is nose down and always has his head down and is looking for the ground disturbance, right? Man trailing is looking for, how do I put this? You can use, the dog's head doesn't have to be forced down. It can be neutral, midway. So he can ear sense a little bit, as long as he doesn't lose a track. He can get it from the ground. He can get it from a barrier, such as a wall, odor that drifts up against the wall. We find we have more success with man trailing, because it's something that the dog isn't forced to do. It's something that becomes more natural. It's something that the dog has to self discover. So the technique is basically the dog self discovering how to find odor and how to find that person without forcing that dog's nose to the ground and making him look for the footsteps, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of encompasses the entire environment, I guess, at some level.
Yes. Yes.
So is it for across the board, or is it more like if somebody gets lost in the wilderness, or is it if you're looking for a building that's collapsed and you're looking for that, is it across the board?
Now, so this is scent specific. So it's just
Okay.
looking for somebody that's missing, right?
Okay.
So
Cool.
we can do it through articles, meaning, you know, let's say suspect bailed from a vehicle.
Uh-huh.
We can scent off of their car seat, or the door handle, or a burglar breaks into a building. We can use the door, anywhere that person has touched, or a kid goes missing. We can go grab the kid's pillowcase and scent off the pillowcase and go look for that specific odor. When you're on a pile and you're looking for many people, now we're looking for the unknown. So what we normally do is our dog will take scent inventory of everyone that's around us, which are primarily, your teammates. And then from there, we deploy him, and now he's looking for that unknown scent. So he already has an inventory of all of us.
Right.
So there's one or two or maybe three that he doesn't have an inventory, and that's what he goes and finds.
Huh. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So I got another question. Can you tell why I do this? I have more questions. So I want to know about Working Dog Olympics. What are some of what do you do? I mean, I know, I think I have an idea, but walk me through it.
So we compete against law enforcement, Secret Service, military.
I hope you kick those guys' ass.
Sometimes I do, and it's a lot of fun because it builds pressure for me, and it's a challenge, and I love challenges, especially when it comes to building a better dog or building a better canine team. Let's put it that way. So we do anything from
Wait a minute. I'm going to go with you just like challenges. You can say all that. I can tell how competitive you are. But go on.
we do everything from detection. So we specialize in narcotics. So they'll put out venues that we would have to find narcotics, whether it's in vehicles, open area searches, like a field, etc., building searches, luggage, cargo. And then from there, they'll do tracking. We'll have to do a tracking venue. Then we do the obstacle course, and that's where have to become fit, as we're going back to. So we run, I don't know, a mile and a half obstacle course. We have to do it with the dog. The dog has to go through anything the dog has to do, we have to do. So, there'll be signs throughout the obstacle course where you have to down your dog and do 10 push-ups and then leave your dog there and run a distance of 200 meters and do sit-ups, but the dog has to stay where you have him down.
So you got to be fit. You're doing the work and they're just hanging out with you?
Well, kind of, but the dog needs to we have to have control on the dog.
Sure.
The dog has to go through everything that we have to go through as far as going over obstacles, through obstacles, and then switch. So if we do one scenario that's detection where the dog finds narcotics, and now he's got to go find the bad man in a building, he's got to learn how to switch roles, and it has to be really quick. And some dogs do a great job of it, and other dogs struggle. We're what's the word? We're scored on communication with the dog. We're scored on obviously the dog's ability, our ability, and obviously the points on timing, etc. So there's a lot of pressure that goes into it, but it's a lot of fun. You get to network with everyone. It's the only place where you can go and be yourself with other canine handlers and just be one of them. It's a great venue to be a part.
And you guys you probably have everything as something in common. And I'll bet you every now and you pick up some new idea that somebody's doing for training too. It'd be probably really cool.
Yes, there's 1,001 ways to get to the same goal.
Yeah.
And everyone has their point of view and everyone has their own technique. And if you're open to it and you can learn from them, the value in that can last you forever. And that's what I do. I go around the country teaching different detection techniques, and it just makes a difference for people. So,
Okay. Now, we're just going to finish up on this, but I don't know. We're not done yet, just so you know. Give me a full.
okay. All right.
So today you were telling me you were doing narcotics detection today. Tell me what that is and give me a day in the life of a narcotic
Correct.
person. Not neurotic, narcotic. Yeah, I'm the neurotic. You'll be the narcotic person. So tell me what that is and how that works.
So I am a narcotic supervisor down at the Port of Miami. And what we do down there is we basically jokingly, I'll say this, ruin people's vacations by finding narcotics on them. So my boy, both, this is Magnus, by the way.
It's like people getting off like cruise ships and stuff like that.
People going on cruise ships, anyone
Okay.
embarking for vacation. So
Okay.
we search their luggage and their carry-on bags coming on. A lot of times my dogs will hit on the passengers because they're becoming a little more smart on how to smuggle things on board. So they'll try to put it on them as well. So sometimes they hit on them, but that's basically what we do. We search for narcotics, we confiscate it, and then the authorities take care of the rest.
So give me a story that is a cool story. I'm sure there's several, but one that you can think of that was weird, cool, lots of drugs, whatever it was. Give me a story. I know you got 100 of them or thousands of them. Just give me one.
Jeez.
Come on, Miami Vice. Let's hear it.
Trying to think. It's just how they conceal. I think it's how they conceal it,
Uh-huh.
and the lies that come out of their mouth.
I don't know how they got my shoe.
Like, these aren't my pants. Okay, but we found drugs in them. Yeah, but they're not my pants. I'm like, okay, well, I know what to tell you. Just silly things like that. I don't really have a great story because the stories are, yeah, I can't really share much.
Is there? Do you find is it mainly cocaine, or is that pretty much the big one, or what's the big one?
No, it's primarily marijuana that we're finding there. I mean, we find cocaine there, and we find meth, and we find a lot of ecstasy. It just depends on what event is going on. Like right now, we have Ultra Fest in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on what the flavor of the month is. But most times, it's marijuana.
Oh, so yeah, I guess I would have thought marijuana was legal in Florida. It's not legal here in Texas. Well, it makes sense actually
Yeah.
when I think about it. I mean, I associate Miami Vice with Florida, so I always think that kind of a thing.
Hmm. It's not legal when you have to take it through international waters.
Well, yeah, okay, that makes sense too. Okay, so any other things that we didn't cover that we should cover? I can't. I mean, I know we bounced all over the place, but can you think of anything we left out?
I think you got them all. I mean, yeah, I think you touched base on a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of things. So for you guys listening, I'll have this I have it in the description. We're recording right now, but why don't you tell everybody your social media, how they find you, how they can read your art. We'll have some articles in there. There's a great article I'm going to have in there for sure in the description, but go ahead and let everybody know that are listening that aren't going to go and read it.
If you go on social media, Facebook, just put in my name, my first and last name, Sinead Imbaro. If you can search K9 Protected. That's what my company name is under. But if you search my name, I'll definitely come up on Facebook and Instagram. It's primarily under my name. So
Right next to Don Johnson.
yeah.
There he goes.
I used to love that show. That's a good that was one of my favorite TV shows back in the day. So
Oh, I'd like to do. So that's like Tubbs, and
stuff.
what
Yeah.
was his name? Crockett and Tubbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're making a new one again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just saw that somebody was asking for a lot of money. I forget who it was to do the part because it was. I'll think of the name. I know it was. I got it in my mind. I'll say. Hopefully, I do it. If not, I'll do it online. But I just saw you saying I'll do it, but you have to pay me a lot of money. It's pretty funny. Why not? If you can get it. Okay, so we're at that time where I tell the silly animal joke. And for you guys listening, I let her out of this one so she didn't have to tell it. So I'm going to tell the one today. But as I always say to everybody, I would much prefer to have guests do it, especially when I tell my jokes. Guys, I know you listening probably don't want to hear my jokes either. But if you've got grandkids, you want to be on the show, kids, nieces, nephews, whatever, if you email me at mkyle@forrealpodcast.com, I will gladly have them on. And you can tell all your relatives that one of your relatives is on there or you're on the show telling a joke. and then also you won't have to have the pain of me telling this stupid joke. So here's my joke of the day that has the relative to what we're doing. So why did the detection dog get promoted? Sinead?
You got me on that one. Why?
He sniffed out opportunities.
Ah, okay.
Not so
Okay.
bad.
That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad.
Okay, so anyways, first off, this was a rushed one that we got done today. It's late your time. I just really, really, really appreciate it. I owe you. In Miami, I'll definitely have to buy you some kind of Don Johnson fancy drink or something for you.
There you go.
But seriously, thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you for having me, Mark. Appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you, seriously. And then for everybody else that's listening, as I always say, keep following, keep listening, pass the word out, do all those things, because without you guys, I don't get great guests like Chenade, but it's really important. But most importantly, for you guys to keep listening and make the show grow, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, for real.
That concludes this episode of For Real with your host, Mark Kyle. For previous and future episodes of For Real, listen via all major podcast streaming sites.